'Tis the season to be really jolly here on Miss Earth Crown. After a successful and unparalleled coverage of Miss Earth 2020, Miss Earth Crown moves forward with a new look, a new brand, and new original content. This is MEC TV. This Christmas season, witness the premiere of our brand new show, In Focus, a show where we ask important questions, one-on-one. And for the premiere season of In Focus, all eyes are on Miss Earth USA 2021. And our American queens will be here to prove why they should be the next Miss Earth USA. And in the coming year, get ready for a bigger and bolder Miss Earth 2021, the MEC coverage. With our shows that will definitely keep you posted. MEC in Focus. One-on-one, hot button, hot topics. MEC Inside Stories. Interviews with present and past queens and more special guests. An MEC Pageant Roundup. Your weekly dose of Miss Earth pageant analysis during the Miss Earth season. So join us starting this holiday season and in the coming year with a heavy dose of Miss Earth that only MEC TV can deliver.
Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday to all of us here on Miss Earth Crown. We're so happy that you are here with us tonight on our back-to-back finale. This is going to be an interesting Sunday night for all of us. My name is Noy Sabilan. I am Chief Correspondent of Miss Earth Crown. And I would like to say hello to everyone. Kamusta kayong lahat here in the Philippines? And hello to everyone back there in the United States. And wherever you are around the world, we're so happy that you are here because right now is the first installment of our back-to-back special finale for our In Focus series here on MEC TV. So to all of the fans tuned in already right now, maraming salamat. Thank you so much because right now I am on an empire state of mind. That's a clue for our special guest for tonight because right now we have the lovely Miss New York Earth 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, Earthlings around the world, let's all welcome Skylee Lawton.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Noy.
Hello, Skylee.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course, it's our pleasure. And wait up, I think we are matching. I think you're wearing something like blue-green right now.
Yeah.
Is that blue-green? I know. It's the color of the day. I'm so
Yeah.
happy.
It's my good luck
Happy.
color.
Yes. Happy Sunday to you, Skylee. First, maybe you can say hi to all of our Earthlings around the world right now. Skylee.
Yeah, hi, everyone. Good morning, good evening. I thank you all for coming today and watching this interview. I am so excited to be here. I was telling Noy before we got on, this is a very different kind of interview that I've been able to do.
Wow.
And I am so excited to be here. This sounds so much fun and I'm ready for it. So thank you all for joining.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for saying that, Sky. Of course, it will be so much fun because, of course, we have a fun guest right now. And I know that it's going to be, I think 1 week from now, 1 week away from the big day. So, Skylee, before we begin the conversation, what are your current feelings right now that we're fast approaching the grand coronation?
To be honest, it hasn't quite set in for me yet that I'm leaving. My flight is early tomorrow morning, and I'm very excited.
Oh,
But, I've still got to pack. I've still got to get there. And I don't think I'll actually realize what's actually happening until, Wednesday morning when I have to go check in and be ready. So I'm
okay,
ready
yeah.
for the emotions.
I know, yeah. So you mentioned that you're not not yet done packing? Like, how many percent are you done packing? Like 50%, 60%?
I'm like a good like 90%. I know
Okay.
everything that I haven't packed. Like I have a very strict list of everything that I need to pack or like wash or get ready or buy at the store just in case I need it. So I'm trying to like take that extra step and be extra prepared.
There you go. And of course, we're so happy here on Miss Earth Fam because you have this special interview to bring with you in Orlando
Yes.
tomorrow, right? Right. So
Yeah.
this is going to be a great conversation with Miss Earth New York, Skylee Lawton. But before we begin, our very special first segment, okay, we have thought of this very special segment for you, especially Skylee. Before we start, let us first look at the comment section to say hi to our Earthlings right now. I'm so excited because there are a lot. Michelle Ann Constantino says hola. Michelle Ann
Buenos
Constantino, there you
dias.
go.
Buenos dias.
There you go. Michelle Ann Constantino is from Pageant Hub, one of our friend vloggers here in the Philippines. Hello, Michelle. Thank you so much for tuning in. And we also have here some other people coming in from the fans section. We still have more people coming in. Okay. Right now we are actually live stream both on Facebook and YouTube. So I think later on we'll read some of the comments coming from our fans from YouTube as well. But then for now, I'm so excited because are you ready, Skylee, to take
I
on the
am.
first FEC segment, which is what we call guilty or not guilty? Hmm.
I
What
know, I'm
is
ready
all
for it.
about? What is this all about? So to all of our Earthlings right now, we have thought of this segment because we wanted to see how brave
Okay.
Skylee is to take on our juicy questions right here, right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to flash the questions, and Skylee, you will have to say guilty or not guilty, and state your piece. Explain why. All
I,
right. Are you ready?
I'm ready for it. Let's go.
There you go. So let's have our very first guilty or not guilty, Skylee.
Oh,
Have you?
absolutely guilty. I dance all the time, especially like in my kitchen if I'm cooking. I've been a dancer my entire life. So I started competing. I started dancing when I was 3 and started competing
Mm-hmm.
when I was 8 and then started teaching when I was 18. And I love dance. So my friends kind of know me as the dancer in the friend group. I dance a lot.
So guilty for bust a dance move when no one is looking. When was the last time you did this?
Honestly, this morning, that was kind of my
And to
plan.
what
Yeah, it's like 6 o'clock.
and to what song was it? To what song was it?
It was to Lizzo. It was yeah.
Oh,
Feeling good. Yeah.
good song. That's a good song to start the day. Thank you so much, Kylie. So guilty on busting a dance move. So
Definitely.
maybe during your stay in Orlando, we'll see a lot of like unguarded moments of you dancing
Oh,
with no
absolutely.
one is looking. So we'll have to watch out for that.
Definitely.
There you go. There you go. Thank you so much. Next, guilty or not guilty question for Skylee. Got addicted to a TV or online series? Guilty or not guilty, Skylee?
Definitely guilty. I am a huge
Oh.
fan of Netflix. So whenever I get free time, I just watch whatever kind of TV shows that I can. And it's anywhere from comedy like Parks and Rec to Game of Thrones. So, yeah, I definitely get
Oh.
addicted.
There you go. What was the last series that you binge watched on, Skylee?
The last one is a new one on Netflix. It's called Bridgerton. I don't know if you guys watched that.
Oh.
Yeah, it's really, really good. I binged that in one day, and it was so good that I started watching it again the next day. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. So if Skylee isn't busy anytime during the day, you can be caught watching your favorite series on Netflix. I think that's safe to say that.
Definitely. Yeah.
There you go. There you go. So a dancer. and a binge watcher on Netflix. So those are the two things that can best describe Skylee Lawton from New York. Let's have the third one, the third statement. Okay, this one's kind of interesting. I hope your parents aren't watching right now. Has done something as a teenager without parents' consent. Guilty or not guilty, Skylee?
I am definitely, unfortunately, guilty. Yeah, my brother and I were both very much athletes growing up, so I did dance and then cheerleading on the side as well. And my mom was a very big stickler on healthy eating and making sure we knew what to put in our bodies. And so she wasn't a big fan of snacks growing up, but every once in a while I would like sneak or buy like chocolate. I'm a huge fan of chocolate. And I would have like my friends buy it for me so that I was, like didn't have or had deniability. But yeah, definitely. Sorry, mom
Oh, there you
and
go.
dad.
Okay, yes, sorry, mom and dad, for letting me know about the secret. But then, as a whole, Kylie, how do you describe yourself as a teenager? Were you like the rebellious type, or you were like the goody two shoes type,
I
or
was
are you on the middle?
a little bit of both. So I do come from like a military background. So both of my parents were actually Marines. And being in school, being in dance and cheerleading, I had a very strict schedule. So I didn't really have time to kind of have that rebellious stage. So
Mm-hmm.
I've always been focused on my studies, always been focused on my sports. So my parents thankfully had I
Yeah.
think, a little bit of an easier time with me.
Yes, that's actually an interesting thing that we found out about you. But then we're gonna talk about that in a little bit
Yes.
on our next segment. You growing up in a military family, it's very fascinating for us. But
Yeah.
then let's move on to our fourth statement. Guilty or not guilty, had daydreams of dating a celebrity, and who, if ever? Guilty or not guilty, Skylee?
Totally guilty. I will completely own to it. I think everyone has to have a celebrity crush every once in a while, especially during
Mm.
school. Like you're sitting there sometimes if the class is boring, you just happen to let your mind wander off and daydream about certain people.
Who was your like the ultimate celebrity that you daydreamed about?
I don't think I really had one. I was kind of secretly big on One Direction in high school. They weren't very big in my high school. Not a lot of my friends liked them, but I loved listening to their music. So it was kind of like my secret, my favorite artist type thing. But now I think it's more like Ryan Reynolds.
Oh,
Yeah,
good choice.
yeah.
Those are two good choices. Two good choices. That's really
Thank
great.
you. I
Yeah.
think so.
Yes. One Direction and Ryan Reynolds, really good choices. All right. Next statement, guilty or not guilty. All right, this one, kind of sensitive topic, but then cried during a past passion experience. Guilty or not guilty, Skylee?
Guilty one time. I only cried
Oh,
one time. No, actually twice. I cried when I found out that I was Miss New York Earth. I cried. Like it's my very first title in the pageant world, and that was such an incredible moment for me. I still remember when my director called and told me that I won. I like gave my phone to my mom, dropped to the floor, and started crying. And I realize
oh,
how emotional that I would be in that moment. And then the second time I cried was during the August Nationals for Miss Earth USA when I first made it into the top 15. I didn't realize I had so much anticipation, so much anxiety and excitement for that moment that when my name was finally called, it was such an incredible moment and I couldn't help but cry. And I'm not someone who does usually cry, so those are very big moments for me. So definitely guilty, but I'm okay with it.
yes, there you go. At least those are tears of joy, so to
Yes.
say, Skylee. Good
Yes.
to know. Good job for you. Thank you so much for sharing that. And we're going to talk more about your passion experience, about the 2020 edition of Miss Earth USA, the virtual edition, what it was really like competing in the virtual edition of Miss Earth
Mhm.
USA during the past year. But then before that, let's move on to the next one. Guilty or not guilty? All right, this one. has a guilty pleasure no one is aware of? Guilty or not guilty?
I think I'm actually going to say not guilty to this one. I'm very much an open book. So if I do
Mm-hmm.
have a guilty pleasure, you know, my friends, my family, they know about it. But my biggest guilty pleasure is definitely chocolate. I eat a lot more than I probably should.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
And then when you say chocolates, like how much chocolates do you consume during the day, for example?
I've had to kind of cut back now that it's, you know, pageant week. And honestly, I'm very sad about it, but it's okay. On the normal day though, I could eat like a good cup of just the dark chocolate morsels, the little ones.
Wow.
Yeah. I could eat a whole bag of Reese's peanut butter cups. Oh, those are so good.
Oh
I'm
my God. And
about it.
yes, and I think you're going to bring some chocolates with you in Orlando just to
Just a little.
have, the some comfort food, so to say,
Yes.
during the stressful parts of the finals, right? So to say. Thank you so much, Skylee. I think that is the last one of our guilty or not guilty. But then before we move on, you're a not yet spared because I think some of our Earthlings have their own guilty or not guilty questions for you. Is
Oh,
that right? Our technical director, we have someone here. John Canistan Diaz Bantilio would like to ask to Skylee, guilty or not guilty, singing inside the comfort room while taking a bath?
guilty. Definitely guilty. Like I said, I dance all the time. I sing just as much. So definitely
Okay,
guilty.
okay, Skylee, what is your go-to like song in the comfort room when you're singing?
I don't think I have a go-to song. I think it's more of a go-to genre. And that for me is country
Oh,
music.
wow.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of that and very like slow, like deep, passionate kind of music. If I'm like really trying to feel my emotions, I'll sing some song along those lines.
There you go. Thank you so much, John, for asking that question. So she is guilty singing country music in her bath most of the time. We have some more comments coming from our Earthlings. Someone is actually commenting here. Actually, our
Yes.
technical director, Emmanuel, I'm with you on the Reese's peanut butter cups. Yes, I should know because Eman loves chocolate so much. Most especially that he's in Japan right now with an abundance of chocolates in Japan. So we can't help it, right, Eman? Thank you so much
I'll
for
share some.
sharing that. Yeah, there you go. And we have, I think, someone, maybe we can say hi to some of our Earthlings.
Hi,
Again,
John.
John would like to say hi. Hi to John once again. And I think Ace Kalimlim Bikay
Hola.
says hola.
Yeah.
There you go to Ace. There you go. Thank you so much, our Earthlings. And we're so happy because there are a lot of our fans coming in, tuned in right now. So the fun has just started, everyone. So we're so happy that you are joining us right now because right now we are going a little bit deeper into the many facets of Skylee Lawton. This is our second segment. All right. So for this segment, we are going to talk about the different sides of Skylee outside the world of pageantry. So let's start off with our first slide. So I
Okay.
think you mentioned this earlier,
Yes.
but Skylee Lawton grew up in a family who served in the military. I mean, Skylee, my question is, how was that like having that kind of family background?
It was definitely different. I didn't know growing up that that wasn't a normal thing. So
Mm,
by the time I got to middle school and high school, realizing, oh, not everyone's mom was in the military, or not everyone's dad, at least in the U.S., was in the military. And honestly, it made me prouder to be a part of a family that my parents, and not just my parents, but both of my grandpas, two of my uncles, and now my younger brother and one of my younger cousins, they're currently serving right now. And it takes gut, it takes strength, and the amount of sacrifice that my family has done for this country. I wish I could, military lifestyle is not the path for me, but I want to serve my country kind of in a different way like my family did and really make
yeah.
sure that, we protect our citizens.
Exactly. Yes. That was one thing I found out in your introduction video that you mentioned there that growing up in a family full of military servicemen and women, so to say, you develop a certain sense of like appreciation for service, right? But then
Absolutely.
absolutely, yes, and that's perfect. But then aside from that, I'd like to find out that allow me to pry a little bit. What was the family dynamic like? Growing up, like having that kind of family background with everyone in the family serving the military for quite some time now.
I will say there was some like kind of pressure because the military lifestyle is very much my family's background. So there was some kind of pressure going up deciding whether or not I wanted to do that. But my
Hmm.
parents, thankfully, once I kind of told them, listen, this isn't the path that I want to do, my brother did do it. So they're very proud of him. But they really made me focus on my education, getting me to college. I'm actually the first one in my family. I might not be the first one in the military, but I am the first person in my family to get a bachelor's degree and focus on education
Wow.
and pageantry. So once they knew like that wasn't my lifestyle, they completely supported me in everything that I wanted to do. So I'm very appreciative. It was a very patriotic household. So 4th of July was always really, really fun. And I was
I can
actually,
imagine.
yes, I always think it's kind of funny too because I may not be in the military, but my mom actually gave birth to me at base. She was at Camp Lejeune, and I was born on Memorial Day. So I may not be in the military,
Wow.
definitely always surrounded by it.
Exactly. That's really fascinating that you were born in Memorial Day.
Hmm.
And you also mentioned that even if you were not serving in the military, there are a lot of like influences, right?
Yes.
If there was like one thing, Skylie, that you learned collectively from your family, full of like people who served the military for many years, what is that one great thing that you collectively learned from everyone?
I think to have strength in adversity. When you're in the
Hmm.
military, you face a lot of difficult choices, a lot of difficult challenges, and being able to, go to my parents, go to my uncles whenever I was having a difficult time, or my grandpas, they would really advise me in the best way possible of just how to get through those challenges, how to persevere, and how to
Yeah.
find my inner strength in a fight or flight situation. They really taught me how to fight for myself.
Wow, there you go. Those are really great values, really great lessons that
Yes,
I think
absolutely.
you're able to carry up until this day. I mean, now that you're competing for Mr. Earth USA, those are very valuable lessons that you can use in the finals, so to say, in during the competition. But aside from Skyly growing up in a family full of military servicemen and women,
Hmm.
another facet that is really fascinating is that you are also a dancer, which you
Yes,
also mentioned a while ago. Dancer and dance teacher. So
yes.
Skyly, maybe you can share a little bit. When did your passion and love for dance start?
So my parents like to say that by the time I could stand, even before I could walk, that I was dancing, that I was shimmying around.
Wow.
So the minute that they could put me into dance class when I was 3 years old, they started taking me to dance. So they really helped to facilitate my passion from an early age. And I fell in love with it. I loved going to class. I actually learned how to tie my shoes on my ballet shoes before class, and I started competing when I was about 8 years old. And I still remember actually my very first competition that I went to, and I actually won it. My team won. And from then I was hooked. I was like, I want to do this every single day. I want to do this every single weekend. And so by the time I got to, 18, when I graduated high school, dance wasn't something that I could continue on into college, but I was able to get my coaching certificate, and I've taught dance for years. So I like to say, I get more nervous for my girls when they compete
Yeah.
than I ever did for myself. Um,
Wow.
my girls mean I unfortunately had to actually stop dancing, stop teaching because of COVID. The studio that I worked at had to close
Yeah.
down, but I'm still in contact with all of my students, especially the older ones in high school. I see the younger ones every once in a while. I still talk to their parents, so we have very good relationships. And these girls, they mean the absolute world to me. So being able to be
Yeah.
a part of their lives, being able to share my passion for dance with them and really help facilitate their passion, honestly, it's a gift. It's a dream.
Exactly, exactly. I can just imagine. I mean, it's such a shame that you were not able to like continue on teaching the kids because of COVID-19. But then these are pictures that we were able to gather from your social media. But then, Skylee, I'd like to ask, if there was one great lesson or one great tip that you coming from a competitive dancer that you can impart to someone who is interested in dancing but is scared to try in at the get-go, what is that one thing that you can advise him or her?
Honestly, if you want to do it, just go for it. Just try it. Go to a dance class. There are so many different kinds of styles of dance. I personally taught several styles myself and competed in several styles. So you just kind of find what's right for you, find your niche. And I have no bad words to say about dance. So like I said, I'm always dancing. So I will always encourage someone to go take a dance class. I'll teach you if you want.
Yay! So maybe we can wait for or like expect like a dance cover from Skylee in the
Yeah.
coming weeks, coming months. And during the talent, is there a talent competition coming up for Miss Earth USA, or is it just like a competition, like a straightforward competition coming up in the
There
coming?
is a talent portion of it, but I did not compete in that section this
Oh,
year. Yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't have the time as much as I wanted to before the deadline to really focus on that.
yeah, there. But then, of course, there are still a lot of opportunities to see Skylee Lawton in action,
Yes.
maybe in her social media. If you want to see Skylee Lawton in action, maybe you can follow her on her social media after the show. But then, of course, you've shared now, Skylee, that you grew up in a family full of military servicemen and women. You are a dancer and you are a dance teacher. Of
Yes.
course, all of these things come together, all of the lessons, all of the experiences come together now. Now that you are competing as a candidate to Miss Earth USA 2021, which is, of course, the most important aspect of our interview for tonight is your journey as a pageant queen. All right. So I have here some photos, Kylie, of you and your past pageant experience. Of course, without mentioning the pageant name or the specific pageant system, maybe you can tell us a little bit about your first experience before
Yeah.
Miss Earth USA. What was that like for you?
So I will say, going into it, pageantry was never something that I thought of. I'm from a very, very small town, so pageantry wasn't big in my area. But like I said, my dance students meant the actual world to me. I would literally do
Mm,
anything for these girls. And we were having a conversation one time where the girls were telling me about their self confidence issues, how they were scared to be on stage. And this was a point where this was past my dance experience. This was past when I could get up on stage and show them. So I was like, how can I show them? How can I be involved and be a real role model for these girls? And I was watching a pageant one day and it clicked to me. And I signed up that day right after watching the pageant and competed a few months later in my very first pageant. And I
wow.
remember, yeah, I messaged all of my girls. They were all watching me online. And it was such a surreal moment because I used to have self-confidence issues when I was growing up too. I feel every girl kind
Wow.
of does. It's unfortunate, but it's something that I had to learn to grow out of, and I wanted to be a role model and kind of teach my girls how to get out of that, show them that, I don't just talk the talk, but I literally walk the walk. And
Exactly.
pageantry for me was my way of getting a platform to advocate, especially coming into it. Originally with the idea of education, of mental health education, of climate action education, I wanted to create a platform and a dialogue for my girls to see that, people are changing the world. People are walking on
Yeah.
stage and they are being confident and they are making a difference.
There you go. And as you mentioned that you joined your first pageant because you wanted to serve as a role model to like
Mm,
young girls, most especially the young dancers that you taught in the past. For example, Skylee, one of your students in the past mentioned to you, like out of the blue, Kylie, I want to join my first pageant. What will be that nugget of wisdom that you want to impart with her before she joins officially her first pageant?
I would first probably scream with excitement because it means the world to me. If my students do follow in my kind of in my footsteps, I would be incredibly happy for them. But the first thing that I would want them to do is go find a coach. I would want
Yeah,
my students to be as fully prepared as they can. Pageantry is very different from dancing.
yeah,
You do get confidence from being on stage. Do get the idea of compartmentalizing your
yeah.
brain, that when you're on stage you're not thinking of anything else. When you're in your interview, you're focused, you're ready to go. And I would want my girls to do just as well at anything that they do, and education is really the forefront of that. So I would want them to originally get a coach. I would coach
Exactly. And
you.
yeah, maybe you can
Yeah.
coach them. Exactly, right? Because I think a large component of like pageantry is a lot of it, or maybe a large percent of it, it's really performance, right?
Yeah.
And as a dancer, Skylie, you have already developed certain values and certain skills in the performance aspect of pageantry. Like for example, now after your first pageant experience, you have decided to continue on with your pageant journey by joining Miss Earth USA 2020. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
There you go. There you go. And this was pretty interesting because this was a virtual edition, which was not really intentionally a virtual edition in the first
Mhm.
place. But then maybe you can share a little bit, Skylie. What was that like competing at Miss Earth USA, shifting to this system? But then lo and behold, it was a virtual edition. What was that like?
It was certainly a little different, but I will say I think I had a little bit of an edge up. So the first pageant that I ever did was in person, so I did get to have that on
Hmm.
stage moment. I got to really resonate, have that energy, have that the anticipation of being in that room from the get go. And then my second pageant where I won Miss New York Earth, that did have
Hmm.
to be a virtual pageant. So having already won a virtual pageant, it was like, okay, one and done. I can do this. Now we got to get ready for another virtual one. And being able to, I will say for my state competition, it was live. So my walks were on Zoom live. My interview was Zoom live, same as this one, but you didn't have to record. You didn't have to take as many
Yeah.
videos beforehand. So the preparation for the virtual one, I think, was more, I won't say stressful, but there was more to do. So
Yeah.
making
Yeah.
sure that I had the right support system, the right videographer, the right photographers, hair and makeup, making sure that everything was perfect was incredibly crucial. And I'll say it was not easy, but pageantry isn't easy in general, and I was ready for the challenge.
Exactly. I think that's what most people do not realize is that virtual or not virtual, I think pageantry as a whole is really challenging. Just the fact that you are putting yourself out there in the entire world. I mean, just the fact that you have to prepare the videos and, of course, for the non virtual pageants, just the fact that you're going to be able to represent yourself to the best of your ability, it's really stressful, right? Now, Skylie. I'd like to ask this question this time. Of course, you've done the 2020 edition,
Mm-hmm.
but then you decided to continue on and go for your journey and then continue on in the 2021 edition this time around. I'd like to ask Skylie, how different is Skylie Lawton from 1 year ago to this time around?
I'll say I'm always continuing to just try and better myself. I'm really good at taking constructive criticism. I'm really good at looking what I've done in the past and learning from what I've done to move forward and to better myself. So for the 2020 pageant, I really used that. That was my first national pageant. So I really used what I learned there to help further me for this competition. I took my judge critiques, I took my coaches' critiques, my directors, girls that were close to me, my friends, girls in the pageant community who understood what was going on. I really took the
Yeah,
lessons that I've learned and applied it to myself and move forward. And I think the mission of Miss Earth and is really the mission of my life. And so they're very much one and the same. And this means so much to me. And I'm so passionate about it that it's honestly a gift that not only do I get to grow in my personal life, but I get to grow in the pageantry world as well. And you say that, everyone, there are people from all around the world watching. It's still kind of crazy to me thinking that I have fans in different countries. I am from a very small town where we have less than 700 people. So pageantry for me
Wow.
is a big thing. So not only being able to represent the entire amazing Empire State of New York, but then having fans and people around the world who know my name, it's such an incredible experience. And I want to make sure that I do New York proud, I do USA proud, and I do myself and my family proud.
Exactly. And you know what? Just the mere fact that you are here right now, your influence has grown tremendously. And that is really helpful, most especially with your advocacy, which is the heart of the matter, so to say. I think you've already mentioned this about like the mission of Miss Earth USA being so tremendously important, which is, I think, the perfect segue for us to discuss your advocacy as Miss New
Yes.
Earth 2021.
I
So
could talk
this
about
time,
this all day.
yes, yes, we are so happy that you're being given this platform for you to talk about this, the crown and the mission. Skylee Lawton as Miss New York Earth, you have chosen to work on a specific advocacy which is called hashtag Think Up. There
Yes.
you go. So what exactly is hashtag Think Up, Skylee?
Hashtag Think Up is very much education based. Like I said, growing up in that military family, knowing that that path was not the one for me, education was really my focus. It was really my forefront. And my parents made sure that I stayed educated throughout high school and throughout college. And so I really want to give back. So hashtag Think Up is really about educating the youth, making sure that they understand climate action education, how to take care of the planet, but then on top of that, social enterprise. How can you
Wow.
enter green business and not only be good for the planet, but financially be set for yourself?
There you go. So these are really incredibly important aspects of your advocacy. So again, you mentioned two aspects. First is educating the youth about climate crisis,
Mm-hmm.
and then second one is about social entrepreneurship. Let's first put a spotlight on climate crisis, which is a very important topic nowadays. Um, what is your intended mode of action um, to use your advocacy hashtag Think Up in educating the youth about the growing climate crisis happening around the world right now?
I am so excited that you asked me about this because my first thought always will be my club Women for the Future. So it's a club that I started
Yeah.
at a local high school that's going to be starting soon. And hopefully, it's going to go really, really well. The school is very excited. I actually just received a grant for it. And so a lot of the topics that I'm discussing about with the girls is climate action education and specifically how climate action affects women because women are disproportionately affected more by climate change than men are. It's scientifically proven, especially in third world countries where women they do the farming, they make the water, they bring the water home, they take care of the family, they take care of a
Mhm.
lot of that produce. And so when financial difficulties or economic difficulties, along with climate action or climate change issues happen like droughts and extreme weather, women are the first ones to notice. So making sure that women are educated and not only that, but men are allies and we recognize that men or that women are affected more is really, really important. So getting that basis, being able to immediately start educating the youth with my club, Women for the Future, is so important. And that's something as Miss Earth USA that I would want to continuously grow.
Wow, incredible, Skyly. And these are really um, great realities that everyone has to be very familiar with, and most especially the youth nowadays. Now, you've mentioned about climate crisis, but then you also have another aspect, which is social entrepreneurship. Now, this is very close to my heart because I used to like hold a club in my college before, wherein students are really encouraged to think of like great ideas how to go about their businesses, their business pitches, but then at the same time really take into consideration that they have to look at the social aspect of their business. So tell me, why is this very important as an aspect of your advocacy? Hashtag Think Up.
So social responsibility is very important to me, along with green business. a lot of the lessons that I'm teaching these girls, a lot of these discussion topics, these are things that I didn't learn about in high school, or I had to learn about the hard way. So I didn't learn about what green business essentially was until I was in college. I didn't learn what climate change was until I was in college. And especially with financial difficulties, being from a small town, you know, economically, we're not always strong. So I want to make sure that the girls are prepped to be able to not only take care of the planet, but then take care of themselves.
Exactly, exactly. And you know what? This is a very important aspect of your advocacy. But this is very interesting. I mean, is there any way that you're planning to like use both climate crisis and social entrepreneurship as, you know, like one unit in your hashtag think up advocacy? What is the whole idea there?
So I'm really always been fascinated in the idea of sociology, in how society reacts as a whole to certain things. And
Yeah,
I think it's just taking it one step further. You know, you can take care of the planet. It's totally plausible, scientifically plausible, because we need to, as a society, do it together in an international community. We all need to be aware of what's going on. And then on top of that, learning about green business and advocating for
yeah,
government incentives for green business and financially making sure that these girls are going to be okay as we transition. The US, thankfully, is working towards like renewable energy, renewable resources, green business, and a lot of other countries around the world are doing that as well. So kind of taking that extra step and saying, listen, you're not only taking care of your planet, but you're taking care of yourself. You can be an independent person while taking care of the rest of the society, and making sure that the planet is good for, you know, generations to come is something that's always been very important to me.
exactly. Because you know this is very important, Skylie. We have to also consider that making sustainable choices, it's not only like the sole responsibility, let's say, of the government or
Mm,
let's say of like a community. I mean, we have to also ensure that everyone is on board, most especially like the local businesses. We have to make sure that our local businesses are forced, coerced, so to say, to really
yeah,
make sustainable green choices. And as
exactly.
a consumer, right, I think as a consumer, we'll have to be empowered to make sure that these businesses are already aware that, hey, we want to make sustainable choices. You will have to give us more sustainable options in the future if you want us to support your business, right?
Exactly. And I think what's really interesting is I've studied a lot of international business. I've studied a lot of
Mm,
peacemaking operations. And one thing that's really stuck out to me is if a society wants real change, it has to happen not just from the top up, not just government down, but it has to happen
exactly.
from the bottom up. So society up to the government. Both society and government have to be one on that aspect. So not only do I advocate for governments to incentivize for more green business programs and get more people involved and aware about the social and financial aspects of being involved in climate action and green business, but at the same level getting people encouraged to want to be in those businesses,
Exactly.
to make sure that when the government does include incentives for green business, that society already has those businesses available, so that it's a seamless transition for our society as a whole, and that, you know, it's so much better for our planet in general.
Yeah, that's why it's really important for you to really work on like the youth in terms
Hmm.
of her educational program, because they will have to be very much aware of these realities, these like sustainable green solutions at an early age. And I think we have
Exactly.
to act as a unit. Now, speaking of, this is a really great conversation. I'm really having fun right now. This is a really interesting
Yay.
one, Kylie. Yes. Um, Now that we have touch a little bit about like working as a unit, like working as a group. I think your Think Global, Act Local initiatives
Hmm.
are actually very symbolic of that like idea, right?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you can show that one. I think we have a video here that we can show. Let's watch this video first before we discuss your Think Global, Act Local initiative. Let's watch this.
Hello, my name is Daniel Awomna, Country Coordinator for Team 54 Project here in Ghana, and the convener of the Upcycling Project on behalf of Skylee Lawton, Miss Earth New York 2020. Together with me here is
Sakina Shitu, and we have a very short message for you guys today.
we may come from different places, different countries, but we all have the same issue.
Climate change affects us all. We must come together to fight for the same goal, a healthy planet. So grab your family, grab your friend, grab your neighbors, as many people as you can. Get creative, get involved, get educated. Let's show the world how to think up, and that
Beauty goes beyond borders.
Wow, there you go. You know what? It's a really creative way of like going about your Think Global Act Local initiatives. Skylie, maybe can show some of the photos here because correct me if I'm wrong, but then you have managed to rally your local community and creating flags using regular scrap materials. Is that right, Skylie? Like what is the inspiration behind this initiative?
I actually saw, I'm very big on Pinterest, and I saw something. I love crafts in general. My mom and I have
Mhm.
always done those. So I knew for my Think Global Act local event, I wanted to do a craft, especially with upcycling because I do upcycle a lot. And I mean, climate action, it's great for it. And we
Yeah.
actually, the door that's made of the frame was an upcycled, it used to be a shower door, a glass shower.
Wow.
And every single one of those little things, they're all plastic bottle caps. I asked my whole community for donations of those bottle caps, and I didn't even use half of the bottle caps that I had for this one project. It
Wow.
was the amount of support that I saw for this project. Also, we wanted to incorporate the military aspect of it because it is such a huge part of who I am and my family and our
Yeah.
background. And I am a member here of the American Legion Auxiliary. My whole family is a member of the American Legion. It's an organization that I've worked with my entire life. I've done charity programs with them before. I always volunteer at their raffles. And it's something that I wanted to combine kind of all of my passions, all of my little facets of my life.
Yeah. There you go. You know what? I'm very interested to find out, Skylie. Of all the images in the world, why did you decide to work on the American flag, so to say, as the image that you are going to work on for this Think Global Act Local upcycling project?
So for the international component, I asked that a lot of people from around the world, which it's still kind of surreal to me how big this campaign actually got. There's a
Wow.
there's a larger video on my Instagram that you guys can see at Miss New York Earth, where it combines all of the videos and the pictures like this one that I received. This one I see and I want to tear up, to be quite honest, because the impact of this is insane. And I asked that with the whole aspect of the flag, creating a flag out of upcycled materials for this international campaign, that it's not just about one country. You can be patriotic, you can love where you
Yeah.
come from, but climate change is not something that just one country has to be a part of. It needs to be a global community. We all need to be
Correct.
involved in the international community to really impact climate change for everyone. And so getting people involved and having them represent their flag and represent their country in this international program was, the outcome was far better than I had ever dreamed.
Yeah.
I had several countries from around the world, including Ghana, including Uganda, and a bunch of African countries, a bunch of USA people. I'm still shocked to this day because it means so much to me that so many people were involved and so many people are in this fight for everyone.
Exactly. You know what? This is rather symbolic, Skyly. I mean, just the fact that different countries from around the world were able to, rally support from their local communities and, act as one unit just to work on this project. That's rather symbolic and rather meaningful, so to say. Now, Skyly, I'd like to ask this question now. From that idea of like acting as one unit, as one nation, what do you think what do you think will what do you think is the most important aspect or important factor for us to really act as one unit, as one world, so that we can fight this climate crisis that we're experiencing right now, as as a whole, as
Yeah.
one unit?
There's one thing that I do advocate, I will say against, I want to educate people more and more about this, is the idea of psychological distancing. When you're in the United
Mm,
States, especially, we deal with this a lot. We have the luxury of it. And a lot of other first world countries do as well, where it's kind of, you get the thought process of this is a problem that someone else is dealing with. I don't need to deal with this in
Yeah.
my life, so it's not my problem. Someone else can deal with it. And that's not the case when it comes to climate change, because
Correct.
we're one planet. We can't just move. We don't have the technology to just hop off to Mars right now. Like, we need to take care of the home that we have now, and that's an everybody thing. So making people recognize, listen, this might not be happening to you. You might not see the effects every single day, but there are plenty of people who are. As our hurricane season this year in the United States was horrendous. We had incredible droughts and wildfires this year, especially in California. I know Australia saw that last year as well in 2020. And these are direct effects of climate change. So it's not just one
Exactly.
person that's dealing with this. It is the entire global community, whether or not you see it on a day-to-day basis or not. And we have been in New York State, we have been noticing our personal effects of it. I live right next to a lake, and I kind of see how the lake rises and drops every year based on climate change. And it's really important to focus on that and to get rid of the idea of psychological distancing and to kind of have more of a moral aspect that problem, you might not think it's your problem, but it is someone else's problem, and so we need to help them out.
Exactly. I love what you said about that's something new to me, like psychological distancing. And just the
Yeah.
moral obligation that everyone has, even if you're not experiencing it firsthand. I mean, just that's the aspect of like empathy and solidarity, most
Yes.
especially.
We definitely need
Exactly.
to
And
have that. And
I think we have
I think
yes,
my
yes,
global
you're
action
mentioning something.
campaign really helped show that we are a global community and that there is empathy and there is community within another for this one mission.
There you go. You know what? We've extensively talked about your advocacy, your Think Global, Act Local. I'm having fun right now, but then this time I'd like to focus on the competition itself, which is going to happen in a week's time. My God, can you believe now? I'd like to ask Skylee. 2021 is a whole different ball game, so to say.
Yeah.
My question right now, Skylee, is how is how is your game plan going to change this time around? Since of course you've done 2020 edition virtually, how is your game plan going to change, or is it going to change? Is there any like revisions to how you're going to approach the competition? Maybe you can tell us a little bit of what you plan to do.
So I try and take things day by day. So not to stress myself out. I am someone who has anxiety. So I really try and focus on, one thing at a time. And we were able to do that this time because our judges interviews and our media interviews, they were virtual this year. So I already completed mine last weekend, which means that for this next coming week, I only really need to focus on my walk. I need to focus on my confidence on stage and
Mhm.
being in the moment, looking fierce and fabulous in my outfits, and being able to compartmentalize. Again, I keep saying that, but being able to just kind of focus on my walk and focus on what the judges see of me personally and having that energy, showing my personality, I think is a great thing. And I'm lucky that I can do that instead of,
Mhm.
now I don't have to stress when I go to Orlando. I don't have to stress about that judge interview because it is very, very important time. So I can just focus on my walks. I can just focus on being on stage. And again, going from the Miss Earth USA 2020 pageant, I've really taken what I've learned from that pageant and put it into myself and focused and tried to change where I can and just grow as a person and make sure
Yeah.
that I am representing New York State to the absolute best of my abilities.
There you go. One final question, Skylee, before we go to the Earthlings for the hashtag Earthlings
Yes.
Ask segment. Skylee Lawton, Miss New York Earth 2021. How prepared are you to take on the responsibility, the crown, and the mission of Miss Earth USA should you win the crown this coming January 17th?
I am absolutely prepared. They could put the crown on my head today and I would be ready to take.
Woo!
Yes. I really understand the importance of what this means. Being involved in the international community, being an advocate, not just for the United States, but for this mission. Like I said, this is not just the Miss Earth mission, this is the mission for my life. And
Wow.
having that responsibility, being a role model for girls, like I'm trying to show with my hashtag Think Up and my Women for the Future Club, being an international role model, like I did with my hashtag Think Global Act Local event, and really focusing on that education, understanding where government and society combines and using my education to really help others around the world recognize what's going on. And I think if they put that crown on my head today, I would be absolutely ready and absolutely prepared to take on those responsibilities. And I would be more than happy to do so.
There you go. You know what? Skylee Lawton is ready, locked, and loaded
Yeah.
as your future Miss Earth USA 2021. But before we continue on, I think our fans would like to take on the challenge of asking you your questions.
I'm
Okay,
ready
so
for it.
we're now going to open the floor for questions coming from the fans. So Earthlings, please ask your questions. Key in your questions on the comment section right now. We have someone here coming from, let's ask questions now. Let's flash one question coming from the fans. Okay, from Hayi with Beshi. All right, this is our one of the pages that support Miss Earth Crown. The question is, who do you consider your number one supporter in your Miss Earth USA journey?
This might sound like a little cliche answer, but it's completely the truth. 100% it's my mom. She has been there for me from the start. She was there when I first decided that I wanted to do pageantry. She's been there every single step of the way. When I won Miss New York Earth, we were at home. I had found out like on a phone call, and she was the one person who knew at the same time that I did. She has been there every single step of the way for me, and she's 100% my number one supporter.
There you go. Thank you so much for asking that question, Hayi with Beshi. A follow-up question to that, Skylee. Your number one supporter is your mom,
Yes.
but then who do you consider your hashtag Miss Earth USA squad? Like your core group in this batch of ladies.
Yeah, my New York girls for sure. My elite Miss New York Earth and my teen Miss New York Earth, Nalisha Ramdayal and Kelsey Zabawa. They are my sisters. I also have Miss New Jersey, Katrina Albanese, and my coach, Corinne Salakis. She was a former Miss Earth USA. That is my squad. Those are my girls. They support me 100%. I support them 100%. And to have them all in my corner, I am so thankful for them, just in my life in general. But the fact that they support me so much within this pageantry and within this competition, I'm so thankful to have their support.
There you go. We have here one question offline. Actually, I have here an offline question coming from Ralph Kimiging, one of my good friends. What are you most excited about in the competition? Or do you have any special segment that you're looking forward to the most?
I'm actually really looking forward to finals. Having done Miss New York Earth and Miss Earth USA 2020 in a virtual competition, I want to hear my name being said on stage. I want to make it to that top 15, to that top 10, to that top 5. I want my name being called
Yeah.
on stage and to just have that moment. So I'm really, really excited for that aspect.
There you go. There you go. All right. Maybe we can have one final question coming from the fans. Okay, from the MEC team. All right. Of course, what environmentally damaging habit should we leave behind in 2020? I love this question. Now that the new year is upon us, what is your answer for this one, Skylee?
My answer would be getting rid of those single-use plastics, trying to find other ways, other sustainable products and consumer aspects to bring into your daily lives. I recognize really this year, this 2020, how many single-use products and plastics that my family brings in, and it's disheartening. And I don't want to throw them away. Like, it hurts me to throw it away, but we don't really have any other kind of technology to get rid of them properly. Certain things you can reduce, reuse, recycle. So I'd really try and upcycle as much as I can, but just trying to start at the beginning where don't even bring in those single-use plastics in your life. I know it's really, really hard to do so, but that's why we need to show change. We need to invent
There
things.
you go. There you go. Very great answer to that question. And I think that is our final question coming from the fans. Thank you so much to all of our fans who asked their questions. Thank you for your enthusiastic participation in the comment section. But then, of course, all good things must come to an end. We have already an hour of great conversation with Skylee. You know what, personally, Skylee, I wish we had more time with you. I had a lot of fun listening to your insights, to all of your meaningful words about your advocacy, about the work that you've done. And one final question, Skylie,
Mhm.
before like we let you go for the night. Um, what is that one final message that you have for everyone watching out there around the world as Miss New York Earth 2021, and as a voice of Miss Earth USA 2021? The floor is yours, Kylie.
The one thing that I want to leave with you guys, I think you guys can tell from this whole interview how important I think the global community is in impacting climate change. This is not something that one state, one country can do by itself. We need to come together socially, governmentally. We need to create these plans and put them in place so that we have a better future for our children and for their children and so on. We need to come together, create policies, create social changes, and really affect climate change from the ground up. So I thank every single one of you for being on here today. Make sure to follow me. I have tips and tricks for how to upcycle, for how to be socially responsible, how to get involved in social enterprise, how to learn about climate action more. So follow me at Miss New York Earth on Instagram and Facebook. And you can also watch, of course, the pageant next weekend, Miss Earth USA on VIP Pageantry.
There you go. You know what, Kylie? Um, I think I am one with the whole MEC team to say that we have spoken with a formidable candidate for the crown. We are wishing you the best of luck on your journey. It's only 1 week from
I
now, 1 week
know.
away. And you know what? We have a great feeling that we're going to be talking to you a little bit soon after the coronation night. Maybe with a crown on your
Like,
head.
oh, I can't wait for that moment.
Fingers
Thank you
crossed.
so much. And thank you,
There you
everyone.
go. Exactly, exactly. And you know what? Once again, maybe a virtual applause for the advocating, the beautiful, the dynamic Miss New York Earth 2021, Skylee Lawton. Virtual applause for you. Thank you so much for this wonderful conversation, Skylee. We had a lot of fun. And once again, from the bottom of our hearts, the best of luck on your journey on Miss Earth USA 2021. There
Thank
you
you so
go.
much. And thank you,
There you
everyone,
go.
for joining.
Yes, yes. And of course, this is only part one
I
of our back-to-back finale night for Miss Earth USA in Focus series here on Miss Earth Crown TV. Because right after this, I think we're going to take a short break, an hour of a break. Because right after this great conversation with Skylie, we are going to our next back-to-back installment, which is our exclusive interview with Miss Minnesota Earth, Sydney Hella, which is going to happen at 9 p.m. Philippine time. So if you enjoyed this conversation, I am pretty sure that you're going to enjoy the next one, which is going to be our finale for the entire series. But then for now, I'm going to leave everyone behind. We're going to leave this conversation behind because right now we had a lot of fun. Once again, thank you so much, Skylie, for being here, being such a gracious guest. Once again, this has been your host, Noy Sabelano, for Miss Earth Crown. And I'd like to say thank you. Thank you so much for staying tuned to our live interview with the lovely Miss Your Earth, Skylee Lawton. Saying again, stay safe and see you in a little bit. Maraming salamat po. Have a great night, everyone. Bye!
Bye.